From the Oklahoman newsroom, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Barry, we've got to talk about some legal stuff, which, frankly, is not as comfortable for us. It's not on the court, but it's in a court. That being the Joe Mixon ruling about the videotape of the incident for which he was suspended a year from the Oklahoma football team. It was thrown back to Thad Balkman, a district judge, and he has ruled that that tape will not be released right now. Said it was because it was not entered into evidence in the case, but I don't think this is done. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is.
No, I mean, the Oklahoma Association of Broadcasters will appeal and go back to the appeals court and eventually maybe to the Oklahoma Supreme Court.
Right.
So, yeah, there was when they kicked it back to district court, there was little reason to think that the judge would say, okay, I was wrong. I mean, that, you know, he believed what he believed the first time. So. Not too unexpected today. Right. It's gonna play out even longer.
Yeah, definitely so. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the ultimate decision is going to be, but Barry, you wrote earlier this week, people want to know, why does it even matter? Well, this isn't so much a Joe Mixon situation anymore as it is an open government situation, because you know, there are open records laws that require the government to release information to the public to anyone that requests it. And right now, that's the situation. It's not so much that, you know, Joe Mixon is at the heart of this. Obviously, that's the why we were originally interested. But now there's a question of, does the government, do they have the standing to say, no, you can't see this? And I think that's where we could see this go all the way to the Supreme Court, Barry.
Yeah, and it's, you know what it is. It's a Freedom of Information Act issue. Does the government have the right to pick and choose what it's going to release and what it's not? And it's clear that from the start, David Bourne, Joe Castiglione, Bob Stoops went and saw the tape, got involved in the case. It's clear that I'm not saying they're exerting any undue influence. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, I don't know. But if this was some defendant we'd never heard his name, I don't think this would have ever been an issue. I think it would have been automatic. It would have been released. Now, nobody probably would have wanted to see it, but this is just a case of the government not getting to decide. We want transparency in our elected officials.
Right, and I think now the question becomes, you know, if the courts, this gets kicked around the courts for a while, which it seems like it's probably still got some court dates yet to be met. You know, who knows when that'll happen, months probably away. You know, does it come out through the court system, or is this a situation where, you know, a TMZ, Barry, comes in and gets this? I've always said that this tape is going to come out at some point, whether it's somebody paying for it like a TMZ or through the courts. And then what happens is a question that goes beyond the question of, you know, government transparency and open records laws. Does anything happen? You've seen it, I've seen it. Do you think anything changes when it comes to OU and the football team?
No, I don't think. This shouldn't affect Joe Mixon's standing with the university. It would be very disingenuous if OU, if the tape became public, there was massive outrage nationally and locally. It'd be very disingenuous of OU to then do something extra to Joe Mixon. I don't think they will do that. I don't think they should do that. However, I agree with you. I think the tape eventually will come out and be made public, and far better for Joe Mixon and OU and everyone involved if it had just been released in August of 2014. And Joe Mixon could get all this past him. Instead, here it is 18 months later, 19 months later, and it's still lingering, and it's not going away anytime soon. Could be well in the rearview mirror. Instead, it's not.
Yeah, and you know, I think what you say about will anything happen with Joe Mixon as it relates to the OU football team is correct, but I wonder, you know, is there any fallout that falls on David Bourne, Joe Castiglione, Bob Stoops, when OU fans, college football people, you know, regents, boosters, on down the list, when they see what we've seen, which, you know, when you hear that one punch has broken 4 bones in somebody's face, I think you have a pretty clear idea of what that might look like. But when you actually see it, Barry, we saw this with the Ray Rice situation. He's suspended a couple games and suddenly he's gone when people see the video evidence. So I think emotion, I don't know, again, I don't know if OU would exact any more punishment on Joe Mixon for what happened. I just wonder if there's going to be an outcry that could, you know, cause some harm to Bob Stoops, to Joe Castiglione, to David Bourne, to the program in general. I just don't think people are going to like what they see when they see it, because I agree with you. I think it's coming out at some point.
Well, no, that's a great point. It will tarnish the reputation, the image, and the profile of the university. There's not any doubt about that. They've gone this far. They might as well fight it, keep it suppressed as long as they can, to whatever extent they can. But yeah, no, you're right, Jenny. This is there will be emotions flaring when they see this. Yeah. It's like anything. The Florida State case with the quarterback who was immediately removed from school or from the football team when the tape came out. If this tape had come out, you know, in July or August of 2014, right, or immediately after, it would have been much tougher for OU to keep Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
However, if they had, it would be behind them, and you could move on down the road.
Right, yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't know, maybe it's not a situation where anybody loses the job, but I definitely think when you talk about, you know, the way Oklahoma has reemerged from a slump, they made the obviously college football playoff a year ago, feels like a good vibe in Norman, Bob Stoops, the whole program right now. You just wonder nationally, what does that look like? I mean, we're seeing a lot of this going on at Tennessee right now, Barry, with some terrible allegations out there tarnishing them. You just wonder if this is a situation where we're looking in a few months or a year or whenever this comes out and saying, this has really left a black eye on the program. We'll have to see how that comes together. But it does sound like that this is probably a while in the making, because as we know in the courts, nothing's done on a sports schedule. We'll just have to see how this all plays out.